Hello and welcome to Camp, the Catholic audiobook in a month podcast. My name is William Wilson, and today is day 27 of The Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence. I will be reading the conclusion of the life of Nicholas Eremon. We shall hear of his love for suffering, of his constancy in faith, hope, and love up until his death. On his deathbed, he summarizes his teaching. I am doing what I shall do for all eternity. I am blessing God. I am praising God. I am adoring and loving Him with all my heart. This is our whole work, my brethren, to adore God and to love Him without being anxious about anything else. We also hear about his final words. To attain this disposition, true prayer, you must cooperate with God and labor as much as you can to make yourselves worthy of it. Let's get started. The conclusion of the life of Nicholas Eremon. But let us return to the resolution and constancy he showed in his illness, before describing the circumstances of his death and his final sentiments. The only desire he had was to suffer something for the love of God. He repeated what he had said so often in his life. My only uneasiness is that I do not suffer. He had accepted the idea that in the intermediate state of this life there must be suffering suited to his calling and disposition. So when he found a favorable opportunity to suffer, he embraced it. He purposely had them turn him on his right side, knowing that this position would cause extreme pain. There he lay to satisfy the ardent desire he had to suffer. A brother who sat with him offered to help him lie more comfortably, but he replied twice, I thank you, my dear brother. I beg you, let me suffer a little, for the love of God. In that painful posture, he said with fervor, O my God, I adore thee in my infirmities. It is now, O Lord, that I will suffer something for thee. Let it be so in thy good name. May I suffer and die with thee. He often repeated the words of Psalm 51. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Cast me not away from thy presence. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation. The pain from a stitch in his right side, caused by a pleurisy, became so violent that he would likely have died then and there had not the infirmary overseer come in just in time and quickly turned him to the other side, allowing him to breathe more freely. Brother Lawrence was so passionately fond of suffering that it became to him like a consolation and spiritual nourishment. Even in the midst of violent pain, there was no bitterness, no complaining, not even for a moment. There was a tender joy in his face, and even in the tone of his speech, which led the other religious to ask him, Brother, do you really suffer? Pardon me, he replied, I do suffer. This stitch in my side hurts me, but my mind is at peace. They asked, Brother, if it should please God that you suffer this pain for 10 years, would you be content? I would, he answered. Not only for such a number of years, but if it should please God to afflict me in this manner until the day of judgment, I would cheerfully consent to it, and I would also hope that he would grant me his grace still to be content. Thus we see the patience that Brother Lawrence possessed from the beginning to the end of his illness, which lasted only 4 days. As the hour of his departure from this world drew near, he redoubled his fervor. His faith became more lively, his hope stronger, and his charity more ardent. One might judge the strength of his faith by his frequent exclamations, which showed the high esteem he had for this virtue. "O faith, faith," he would cry, expressing its excellence better with that one phrase than if he had spoken volumes. Thus penetrated with God's greatness and enlightened by the light of faith, he adored God unceasingly, saying that adoration had become natural to him. He once told a religious brother that he no longer merely believed in the presence of God in his soul, but that by means of luminous faith he already saw something of that intimate presence. His firmness of hope was no less evident. Even in the face of death, so terrifying to most, His resolution was extraordinary. To a friend who questioned him about death, he answered, "I am not afraid of death, nor of hell, nor of the judgment of God, nor of the efforts of the devil. I actually found him making his attack upon me, but I mocked him and defied him." Those present, delighted and edified by his words, asked him further questions. They said, "Do you know how terrible it is to fall into the hands of the living God, since no man can know with certainty whether he is deserving of love or of hatred?" "I agree," he replied, "but I would not wish to know it. I would be afraid there was vanity in that knowledge." His resignation went so far that, forgetting himself entirely and seeking only God's will, he said, "Yes, even if it were possible, though it is not, that one could love God in hell, and he should place me there, I would not be anxiously concerned, for he would be with me, and his presence would be my paradise. I have abandoned myself to him. He will do with me what he pleases." If he loved God much in this life, he did no less at his death. He performed continual acts of love. When a religious asked him whether he loved God with all his heart, he answered, "Ah, if I knew that my heart did not love God, I would tear it out at once." As his illness visibly increased, they brought him all the sacraments, which he received with joy. He retained his clarity of mind to the very end, though his brethren stayed constantly at his side, giving him every possible comfort. He was also given quiet time for serious reflection and to prepare his soul in these precious final moments. He gave thanks to God for granting him the full sacramental grace at the end, and he used it well, asking for final perseverance in love. When a brother asked him what he was doing and what occupied his thoughts, he replied, "I am doing what I shall do for all eternity. I am blessing God. I am praising God. I am adoring and loving him with all my heart. This is our whole work, my brethren, to adore God and to love him, without being anxious about anything else." Another brother, having recommended himself to Brother Lawrence's prayers and asked him to intercede for the grace of true prayer, was told, "To attain this disposition, you must cooperate with God and labor as much as you can to make yourself worthy of it." These were the last words he ever spoke. The next day, Monday, February 12th, 1691, around 9 in the morning, Brother Lawrence of the Resurrection died in the embrace of God. There was no agony, no convulsion at his death. He kept all his senses to the end and surrendered his soul peacefully and tranquilly, like a man falling asleep. Thus his death was like a sweet sleep that carried him from this miserable life into blessed eternity. For if we may judge the consequences of a death by the holy actions that precede it, what must we think of Brother Lawrence, who left this world filled with good works and pious dispositions? We may then conclude, without flattery, that his death was precious in the sight of God, and very quickly followed by reward. His lot is among the saints. He is now clothed with glory. His faith is rewarded with vision, his hope with possession, and his charity with consummate love. Here ends the life. I hope you have enjoyed this reading. Tomorrow we will wrap up the practice of the presence of God and look forward to next month's book. If you have enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe, rate, share, and help us grow. Also, please check out oratebooks.com, now featuring The Ways of Mental Prayer by Vital Leaudet. Praised by Pope St. Pius X and spiritual leaders across generations, this masterwork guides readers through the transformative journey of prayer, from its foundational practices to its most profound mystical heights. That's oratebooks.com. If you'd like to learn more about us, please visit camp.fm. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow.